Hello Army, welcome back to my channel. At first, it looked like just another luxury brand shoot. The studio was glowing with powerful lights, cameras were perfectly aligned, and every crew member was moving with professional precision. In the center of it all stood Jungkook, calm, confident, and completely in control. The expensive watch on his wrist reflected the light in a way that made him look almost untouchable. From the outside, everything was flawless, but then, something changed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was a quiet shift in energy that spread across the entire room. Conversations slowly faded. Movements became uncertain. Even the staff who were trained to stay focused began noticing the strange tension building in the air. Because TAEHYUNG had just walked in, there was no announcement, no greeting, just his presence, steady, silent, and impossible to ignore. Jungkook's eyes moved away from the camera lens and locked onto the doorway. For a brief second, his perfect expression broke. His jaw tightened slightly, and the confidence he had been wearing like armor suddenly felt fragile. The director cleared his throat and tried to continue the shoot. Let's reset for another take. Jungkook lifted his wrist again, showing the watch exactly the way he had done many times before. But now his movements felt heavier, slower, like he was holding onto something slipping away from him. The polished metal no longer felt like a symbol of success. It felt like a weight. Meanwhile, TAEHYUNG began walking forward. Each step was quiet, yet every person in the room could feel it. No one stopped him. No one even knew if they had the right to. Stylists froze mid-action. Assistants pretended to check their devices just to avoid staring openly. When Jungkook finally looked away from the camera and met TAEHYUNG's eyes, the entire purpose of the shoot seemed to disappear. This was no longer about a brand. This was about two people with too much history to pretend they were strangers. Can we take a minute? Jungkook said softly. The words weren't loud, but they carried authority. The director hesitated before signaling for a pause. Lights dimmed slightly. The artificial rhythm of the set collapsed into awkward silence as Jungkook and TAEHYUNG walked past everyone and disappeared into a quiet hallway. The moment the door closed behind them, the tension became real. You weren't supposed to be here, Jungkook said. His voice low but firm. TAEHYUNG leaned against the wall, arms crossed as if protecting himself from something invisible. I saw the preview of this shoot, he replied. And I saw the way you looked. Jungkook frowned. You think you understand me from a screen? I think I understand you, TAEHYUNG said. Silence filled the space between them. Not empty silence, but heavy with memories and unfinished conversations. Old emotions resurfaced, sharper than either of them expected. You left. Jungkook finally said, I left because you stopped letting me stay. TAEHYUNG answered. The words hit harder than anger ever could. Before either of them could say more, a voice from outside called them back. Reality returned like a warning. When they stepped onto the set again, the lights felt harsher. The cameras felt closer. Every movement felt like it was being watched carefully. Jungkook continued the shoot, delivering intensity in every pose. But this time, the intensity didn't come from the campaign concept. It came from knowing TAEHYUNG was standing just outside the frame, watching him in a way no audience ever could. Soon whispers began spreading. Someone had seen them together in the hallway. A short clip had already started circulating online. Speculations were growing faster than explanations. Their private moment was turning into a global story. Then came the final take. The director asked for one last powerful shot. Jungkook inhaled deeply, and instead of holding his pose, he stepped away from the camera, toward TAEHYUNG. Gasps echoed across the studio. The perfect image shattered in seconds. Jungkook stopped just a few feet away, no longer performing for lights or expectations. I spent so long being what everyone needed, he said, but you're the only one who ever asked what I needed. TAEHYUNG's voice was almost a whisper. And what do you need? Jungkook hesitated, just long enough for the moment to feel fragile. Phones began ringing. Managers rushed forward. News of the moment was already spreading beyond the studio walls. Headlines were forming. Narratives were being created before the truth could even be spoken. Yet Jungkook didn't step back. For the first time, he looked completely certain, because he had finally chosen something real over something perfect.